So much time on James throughout this series. Where did he earn this award?
Well, I think he earned it a number of ways. First of all, his defense, making LeBron James work for everything. You know, you look at LeBron's numbers and they were just, staggering. But Andre Iguodala challenged him on every possession, made LeBron work. LeBron actually didn't shoot well, didn't shoot a great percentage, in large part to the play of Andre Iguodala. And then he came in and gave him a lift on offense, had some moments where he got some shots and kind of was their utility guy, just did a little bit of everything for them. I think that's kind of maybe what Steve Kerr envisioned him doing this year. Not necessarily winning the MVP in the finals,
right,
but being a utility guy, and he did it throughout this series, and he is deserving to be this year's MVP.
And he's not necessarily known as a great three-point shooter, but he had a ton of big threes late in these games.
Well, to think in a Game 6 closeout game that Andre Iguodala would take the most field goal attempts for this Golden State Warrior team when you have Steph Curry and you have Klay Thompson on your roster, it's just unthinkable. And for him to contribute the way that Grant said offensively, it gave a lot of space for some other guys to maybe have the pressure release that they needed to get going in this series, especially Steph Curry, the way he handled the pick and roll, the high pick and roll responsibilities. You saw in this game tonight in Game 6, when they were playing that high pick and roll with Mozgov, it got his confidence going because they were playing that 1-5 pick and roll. Mozgov off. Iguodala missed a couple early ones, then stepped up and made them, and there was no answer for that, and then they were off and running. So deserving of the MVP in a very, very unconventional way, and that's really the kind of player he's been, unconventional, and has had great success doing that.
You know, guys, to me, he won this, and how did he do it in the preseason? Reason why I say that in the regular season, Steve Kerr decided to bench him from Harrison Barnes. You didn't hear a peep from Andre Iguodala. Then he never started an entire game in the regular seasons, and to win the Finals MVP, the first has ever been done, and never started a regular season game. So to me, his character, the way he accepted his role, is all about team. He won that in the preseason and regular season when Steve Kerr decided not to start it.
Remember, Iguodala got his first start of the season back in Game 4 at the NBA Finals, and it has worked out with champagne flowing in the locker room. Who's in charge of the trophy? I'm always curious about this. It's over on the side, but it's getting wet, it's getting sticky, it could get knocked over. A lot of things could happen in this scenario.
I'd venture to say that it's probably pretty secure right now as they celebrate here in the locker room. But really, just getting back to Smitty's point, I mean, a guy who's been an all-star, he's represented abroad, the World Championships in 2010. One of the great players in this league, was a starter last year on a playoff team, and took that sacrifice. And, I'm sure it wasn't easy, but he accepted it. He bought into what Steve Kerr and the coaching staff was all about, and to be rewarded. And I mean, it's to come full circle. It's very fitting, and I think embodies what this team is all about: sacrifice, everybody stepping up, playing big, and the sixth man gets the MVP.
That was one of the changes this team made from last season. Remember, this was a 6th seed in the Western Conference and a first round out in the postseason. They go from that to NBA champions. In the meantime, they bring in Steve Kerr, who becomes the first rookie head coach to win a championship since Pat Riley back in 1982. We've got tons to get to here. We'll hear from, of course, the winners in their locker room, potentially out here on the set, typically as well. Once again, the introductions. TV's Brent Barry over here. Steve Smith right there. He's Grant Hill. I'm Matt Weiner. Great to have you with us. Fun night to be here. Less so for the Cleveland fans who were hoping that they could get enough offense out of their team to pull one out and send this game to a Game 7. Instead, it's Kerr and the Dubs holding that trophy tonight. Alvin Gentry picks up a championship on his way to the Big Easy, where he'll take over as the Pelicans head coach in the coming days. This is the 4th championship in Warriors history, just the 2nd since they moved to the Bay Area back in the 1960s. And with their 83rd win of the season, regular season and postseason, they've won more games than any team since the 1996-97 Chicago Bulls.
Again, it's been a remarkable run. There you see the staff that Bob Myers and Steve Kerr put together. Of course, the experience of Alvin Gentry as a head coach, incredibly important for Steve Kerr throughout the course of the season. Bruce Frazier there, player development, and Luke Walton on that bench. They did a remarkable job keeping these guys focused on the task at hand. And this is the best team in basketball. I mean, you got to give the Cleveland Cavaliers a ton of credit for the fight that they put up under duress and the circumstances with their injuries. but there's no shame with regards to how you competed against what represented the finest this league had to offer in 2015 in Golden State.
Saw Klay Thompson there. That's championship pedigree right there, because he's got the goggles, which is a key move if you're in that locker room with that champagne stinging in your eyes. Perhaps Dad gave him a tip on that.
Or they've learned well from the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah,
They've done that over the last few years.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. That's a possibility.
But just phenomenal. And I think just to reiterate, just to talk about this Golden State Warriors, you know, for me, the phenomenon for me is to get these guys who are unbelievable offensive players to buy in all the scores on the defensive end. And people forget they were the best team in basketball defensively. And I think that throughout the playoffs, they showed that as well, playing some bigger guys. And you watch, they ran through every player that was on the first team All-NBA to win the championship. So that's remarkable.
You know what's crazy too, Steve, is that this team, the way they went about it, yeah, you talked earlier about being unconventional, but they were so loose from the start of the season, throughout the regular season, the postseason. Yeah, they had some adversity against Memphis. They got down, fought back. They got down in this series in the finals after Game 3, but they never lost who they were. They never got uptight. They remained loose. They played the way they played, sometimes a little too loose, but were able to win with their personality and not conform throughout the course of the playoffs. And just been a great team to watch, a fun team to watch the way they play, and to now be rewarded in this fashion is pretty awesome.
I think most fans would agree they led the league in fun among many other categories over the course of the year. A league pass must over the course of the season. As Smitty mentioned, Steph Curry becomes the first player in NBA history to defeat the other 4 members of the first team All-NBA team. In addition to all the other stuff he's done, he's also the 3rd point guard to ever win the regular season MVP and then finish off that season with a title.
The other
pretty great. Bob Cousy and Magic Johnson, you may have heard of them.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty select company for Steph. One of the things about Steph during this series, with as much pressure and eyes and attention were on him because of the MVP trophy and because going up against LeBron James and his dominance and greatness in the series, is I really felt like Steph didn't try to outdo himself or outdo what it was that LeBron was doing for the team. He recognized that that's not him. And I think at some point there, again, in Game 3 when they lost, finding out ways to get some offense by letting other guys do the work, he played incredibly confident from that point forward and contributed in a lot of different ways. And that ended up loosening up some things for them. The Cavs making some adjustments, and then Steph got back onto his game. So it was fascinating, I think, for him in terms of his education and maturation moving forward. Weird to say that about an MVP, I know, but he's a young player that I think learned a lot about what the postseason represents, and that's only good things for the Golden State Warriors moving forward. 8th youngest team in the history of the league if you weight their minutes and their age to win the NBA title going forward.